Salutations, Serjavians. It's Kevin, also known as Serjay Svek, back with another video. And today we are going to talk about all the different CPAP masks that I got over here. Got a lot to talk about, and what I'm going to do is that I will put timestamps when this video comes live. That way, if you want to talk about a specific mask, or if you want to hear my thoughts about it, you can go ahead and skip to that particular part of the video. But before we go to the masks themselves, let's just dial it back and let's talk about why I needed all of these CPAP masks in the first place. So, what I'm going through right now is something called obstructive sleep apnea. So, what is obstructive sleep apnea, or OSA? Well, when you have OSA, or obstructive sleep apnea, what happens is that your breathing stops involuntarily for brief periods when you sleep. Normally, your air will flow into your lungs smoothly when you sleep, but for me, what happens is that it just stops, and then I end up gasping for air. Now, people might think that if you're snoring, you might be suffering from OSA, but that's not always the case. Snoring that's usually smooth is not a sign most of the time that you are suffering from OSA. So if it's sounds like this, that's okay most of the time. But if your snoring starts to sound like this, like a car engine that starts and stops like this, I can't keep doing it, but so if I'm already awake and I'm already struggling breathing just to do that, what more for someone who is already suffering from OSA and they have to deal with it every single night? Now, snoring is not just the only symptom of OSA or the only indicator. So it can also be whenever you wake up, for example. It doesn't matter how long you sleep, you never feel rested. You always feel like a zombie when you wake up. Irritable, you feel like you're going to lose your balance when you get up. You're always dizzy. You feel forgetful more often. Your mood is very dark. You get angry more easily. That sort of thing. All of those things, I've undergone those. And in the weeks leading up to the time I finally decided to take the sleep test, we're at my worst. I thought that I was going to topple over and fall every single time that I got up. I always had to slowly get up, slowly get down, because I thought if I made any sudden jerky movements, I wouldn't be able to keep my balance. And whenever I was at work, I always made mistakes because I kept forgetting things. So, long story short, it was terrible. But a friend decided to tell me that it was time, and I decided to do it too. I've been putting off taking the sleep test for a very long time. It was very expensive. Thankfully my my health card was able to take off half, but still it was very expensive. We don't need to discuss the price here, but the point of the matter is that after I was done, they found that I am suffering from severe sleep apnea, because if you have those types of events where you suddenly start and you stop breathing, and it happens a lot in a single hour on average, then that can be considered severe. For scale, what's considered normal is between 0 and 5 events where your breathing stops in an hour on average. Anything that's severe is 30 and above. I was 66. And when I went on Reddit, I've also heard of stories of people who even went up to 100, even unbelievable as it sounded for me, because I didn't know that it could even go up that high, but it can. And if you are also the type of person who is obese or has a large tongue or large tonsils, uh, those are also factors for you getting OSA. Now, losing weight can definitely help in lessening the effects of OSA, but it can still occur in people who are fit. So it's more of just how your body is, that how your body is shaped and created, that you end up like this. But it's not something that's so uncommon in young people or old, male or female, whomever. So, and that's the purpose for making this video, because I also wanted to let people know that if you think that you're getting this, if you're experiencing this, we're not alone. Okay? I'm pretty young. I'm 30. But I don't want age or size or anything to be a factor in preventing you from getting yourself treated. And the younger that you get yourself treated, the better. Because if you have OSA and it's not treated, then you put yourself at higher risk for, let's say, hypertension, heart disease, stroke, all of those nasty things. And for a number of people, they go their entire lives without knowing that they have OSA. And maybe they put it off because the treatment, the CPAP machines themselves are expensive, or the sleep test is expensive, or maybe they don't know about OSA. So there are a number of factors. But all I'm trying to say is that if you think that you are experiencing it, my philosophy is that if you can afford it, get yourself tested. Get yourself tested. The money that you spend now, while very weighty, will be a lot smaller in comparison to the ambulance bills, hospital, and the treatments. That's just my opinion. So take it as you will. All right. So we're done with that. Let's go to the masks themselves. And I'll go through each one that I have, talk about what I like and what I don't like about them, and then if ever you choose to go on your own CPAP journey, it'll be a lot easier for you to pick your own mask, because the reason why I've got so much is because, well, during the pandemic, I couldn't go to the clinic and have myself tested for a mask, so I pretty much had to rely on ordering online. And it's been a trial and error process. But hopefully when your time comes, if you choose to do this, it'll be a lot easier. And I'll put links in the descriptions for where you can inquire and get help. So the first up is the nasal type of masks. So as the name implies, these are the masks that you only need to put around your nose. Now, there are two types. This one is what you call the nasal cradle, and this is the nasal pillows. These are all Resmed masks, and this is what it would look like if you put this on. So as you can see, only the nose is being covered here. And this is the N30i by Resmed. And this is the nasal cradle mask. Now what happens is that for the I series of CPAP masks, the hose from the CPAP machine goes here. It goes down this hollow silicone frame, and then it goes here. This is where you start breathing in and out. So the good thing about this is that for this cradle is that it's not too tight. The air, your nose is being cushioned by this very soft silicone here, and you can wear your glasses, and it doesn't cover your face. It's a very tiny amount of contact with your face. So you can wear your glasses. You can, when you feel like you want to read a book or you want to check your phone out while you're sleeping or before you go to bed, you can still do that. And the cool thing about the I series is that since the tube is up here, if you're someone like me who prefers to sleep on their side, you don't have to worry about the tube, or excuse me, the hose, interfering with your body. So it's just here at the top of your head. Let's get my hose. It doesn't get in the way. So that's for the nasal cradle. Now for the nasal pillows. So as you can see, the pillows are just like the nasal cradle mask, but with these two spouts over here. So what they do is that it goes directly into your nostrils, as you can see. So this lessens the amount of contact that your skin or your face makes with the mask. And the good thing about this is that it directly forces the air right into your nostrils. Whereas with the nasal cradle, you only have these holes in here, and they're pretty big. So it can sometimes be a hit or miss when you put it in here, because sometimes you can't tell if your nostril is actually inside the hole. And it's a lot easier for there to be leaks in this type of mask compared to this one, which is the nasal pillow, specifically the Resmed P30i. So you're definitely going to have an easier time breathing with this, at least, because the air is being forced directly into your nostrils. Now, my main issue with this type of mask is, put it back on. While it's very minimalistic in its coverage, the problem starts when you are a mouth breather. Now, if you're someone who maybe it's because you've got like a deviated septum, or maybe just because of the years that you've been spending with sleep apnea, you can't breathe normally through your nose because you're gasping for air. You're desperately searching for air every time you sleep. So for some people with sleep apnea, they compensate by breathing through their mouths. Now, if you use this type of nasal mask, the N30i or the P30i, sometimes I've observed I still end up breathing through my mouth. I would lie asleep. I would think everything is okay, but then I would feel my mouth opening, and then I could feel the air that's being filtered through here rushing outside of my mouth. And that's another thing. You can't talk normally with this on, this mask on, because if you have this on and then you talk, because the air is being forced down your throat, you can't force the air out of your throat to talk. It sounds weird. So it's kind of better to just, disconnect the tube from up here and the hose. That way you'll be able to talk normally. Now, going back to the mouth breathing issue, you end up losing on the benefits of the CPAP therapy when the air escapes from your mouth, because it's not going to your lungs as it's intended to. So what they normally do is that they would recommend that you buy a chin strap. Wrap it around your chin like this. You can put it above or below your mask. I tend to put it below my mask because sometimes somehow I end up removing my mask. You can see, you need to make it a bit tight so that your jaw does not drop that much when you sleep. But the problem is it kind of feels a bit painful after a while, and it does hurt. Maybe it's me because I tried to make it extra tight, but this is like pretty much the best way for you to cope with mouth breathing if you have a nasal mask. So that's just something for you to think about. But if you are not a mouth breather, this is definitely a good kind of mask to start yourself off with. So once again, this is the Resmed N30i, AirFit N30i, and the AirFit P30i. That's for the nasal masks. Now we move on to the full face masks. Next up, we have the AirFit F20. This is what it would look like. So this sort of reminds me of like a jet fighter's mask. To put this on here. This has magnetic clips on the side, so it's much easier to remove. Just take a look. I'll take this off. Hello. So there. I'll just take this off so you guys can hear me clearly. So what happens is that, let me just take this off here. This is what it would look like, and it would cover your mouth and your nose. So this is a good solution for people who are mouth breathers, such as myself. And it's also made of silicone over here. This is the trademark of the AirFits. There's actually another version called the AirTouch F20. Just to be clear, this is the F20. AirFit Air20. AirFit F20, excuse me. There's also what they call the AirTouch F20. Now, the AirTouch series is memory foam, which is a lot more comfortable compared to the silicone that they use for these cushions. But the thing is, if you're using the memory foam one, you'll have to replace it a lot sooner. The websites sometimes say like 30 days for the AirTouch series of memory foam. This one can probably last you 3 months, I think, or 6 months. The sites vary. It's best if you talk to the seller to really judge what would be best. Now, going back to the explanation here, for the N20, you can see F20. You can see here that while it covers here, you don't have to worry about breathing through your mouth. The coverage is very good. Now, and the tube goes through the front here. So unlike the earlier nasal mask, which is at the top, you have to deal with the hose coming in here at the front. So the problem with that is if you're a side sleeper like myself. So let's say, for instance, you've got the hose here. So if I turn around here, if I'm sleeping here, I have to make sure that my arm does not go over the hose and has to be like this. So that's my main issue with it. It's very uncomfortable having to always adjust, make sure the hose is not in the way. The other main issue that I have with this is that I have glasses, as you can clearly see. And and I like to do a bit of reading before I go to bed. Wearing this mask prevents me from wearing my glasses, so most of the time I have to end up doing this, and I can't see anything. So that's something that you'll have to keep in mind. Furthermore, because of the larger size of the nasal mask, you can end up with a bigger tendency of leaks of air. So you always have to take into account whether there's any leaks down here or up here, especially here, because everybody's nose is different, so it can have a higher tendency to leak up here or down here. And what I found out is that if let's say I open my mouth to yawn, my mouth can sometimes go out of the silicone and air can escape. So you have to be mindful of that as well. But if you can live with all of that, the F20 is a good starter for a full face mask. So once again, this is the Resmed AirFit F20. Now we go to the final one, the most recent one, which is this one. This is the Resmed AirFit F30i. This is also a full face mask, but I would consider it more of a hybrid mask. Because what it does is that it combines the structures of both the nasal cradle mask and the full face mask into one. I'll explain. If you can see, I need to here. As you can see, it's similar to the previous N30i and P30i because the tube is at the top. Air goes down the silicone hollow tubes over here and into the mask. Now, and it also has the magnetic clips for easier removal. It's a lot smaller compared to your F20. And the main difference is that it does not cover the bridge of your nose. So the good part about that is that it's easy for you to wear your glasses if you want to when you feel like doing a bit of reading before going to bed. And it's also less surface area, so fewer chances of leaks. Now, I mentioned earlier that this is some sort of a hybrid between the full face and the nasal masks, because not only does it have the area down here to cover for your mouth, so in case you're a mouth breather, you can still get the full blast of air over here. You also have here. You also have a nasal cradle over here, just like this. See, as you can see between the two, very similar structures. So this is definitely good if you feel like you want to get the benefits of a full face mask, but without feeling that claustrophobic. And you also don't want to worry about the hose getting in the way. Because like the previous N30i and P30i, this hose will be at the top of your head. So that way you can move around in bed, no worries. And this is great fun. I appreciate it. But Same thing with the nasal mask. Since this is a nasal cradle, like the N30i, you might end up with a bit of a hit or miss because there's some space here. So if you're not careful in aligning your nostrils, you might end up causing leaks. Another another bad side is that when you since this is much smaller compared to the F30i, for the F30i you can open your mouth and most of the time it's still within the mask. Within within the F20, excuse me, you can open up your mouth and most of the time it's within the mask. But with the F30i, if you open your mouth, there's much less space. So you're probably going to end up opening your mouth way beyond the mask light. So if you're someone who likes to open their mouth wide when they yawn, this might be a bit of a problem for you. But by the time you're sleeping anyway, you're probably not going to have to worry about that. So for me, I would recommend the F30i for people who are mouth breathers and who want to have less coverage on their face. So just trying to combine the best of both worlds and the freedom of movement. Because if you just want to go to the bathroom or if you want to do something, just get out of bed, just unclip, and you're gone. So that's just pretty much it when it comes to the 4 different kinds of masks that I have. So we've gone through the N30i, the P30i, the F20, and the F30i. So once again, I will be putting timestamps in this video when it comes out. And if you do like this kind of content, feel free to follow and subscribe to the Serjay Svek YouTube channel. I may end up doing more content like this if this reception does well. And normally I do gaming streams on Twitch and on YouTube. So if you want to follow me on Twitch, that's my Serjay Svek Twitch channel. And if you also want to join our Discord, it's the Serjavian Nation. All of the links will be available on the description of my YouTube videos and on the about page of my Twitch. So thanks everybody for stopping by. I hope you were able to get more information about OSA and the different kinds of CPAP masks that will hopefully make things easier for you when you finally decide to get the sleep test. And if ever you are diagnosed with OSA, shopping for a mask will be a lot easier because we sleep a third of our lives away. We might as well make that 1/3 of our life as comfortable as possible. But once again, I would like to say, salutations, Serjavians. You take care, always stay safe, and this time, sweet dreams. Bye now.